Imagine all your audio entertainment available in just one place. That's what the Audible app is all about. With Audible, you can always find the best of what you love or discover something new. Audible has an incredible selection of wellness titles and originals, like The Light Podcast by Michelle Obama, Work It Out by Mel Robbins, and Confidence Gap by Russ Harris. Membership includes access to Audible originals, podcasts, and tons of audiobooks that you can download or stream as much as you want. And as an Audible member, you can choose one title per month from an ever-growing catalog of titles to keep. The Audible app makes it easy to listen anytime, anywhere, whether you're traveling, working out, doing chores, wherever your day takes you. New members can try Audible now free for 30 days. Visit audible.com/motivation or text motivation to 500-500. That's audible.com/motivation or text motivation to 500-500 to try Audible free for 30 days.
This episode is brought to you by Vital Farms. No matter how you like your eggs, scrambled, over easy, or sunny side up, the people at Vital Farms believe in one thing: keeping it bullshit-free. That's why their pasture-raised eggs come from hens who each have over 108 square feet of space to roam and forage all year round. So you can spend less time questioning your food and more time enjoying it. Look for the black Vital Farms carton in your grocery store and learn more at vitalfarms.com. Vital Farms. Keeping it bullshit-free.
This is Full Change with Tom Laidlaw.
Oh, do you see there's a feud with Biz Nasty and Butch Goring? Did you see that?
No.
So Biz Nasty was all, Paul Bissonnette, Spin Chicklets, and hockey, the TNT hockey. He was all fired up about John Tavares coming back to the island.
Oh.
So he's a big Leaf fan.
Leaf fan, that's what it is. Okay.
So in true dramatic fashion, he gets his 1,000th point.
Yeah, I saw that.
UBS, at front of his old home crowd who hate him because he left.
Yeah.
But he went home. He wanted to play for the Maple Leafs. He went back, took a big deal. I think,
and that team was a mess. Like the building situation was a mess. He was loyal to that team.
Total mess. Yeah. I think what happened though is he didn't tell him he wasn't going to resign, and they couldn't trade him at the deadline. So I think that's what they're salty about.
Well, they could have traded him, or he had a no move clause.
I think he had a no move. Yeah. And then he didn't sign with them. He signed with his hometown team. So Biz is a big fan of the Leafs and Tavares, who's a great player.
I'll let you finish try. We're gonna have a little debate on that one.
I think it's the 1 and 2 debate. We definitely have it. But so he gets this. So they booed him. They booed him mercilessly at the Coliseum. They even though he got his 1,000th point. So Butch Goring chimed in. And he's like, "Hey Biz, basically shut up. Don't be a clown." So
on air.
No, he tweeted it.
Oh, okay.
So you know what? It's worth it to find the tweet. So I'll see if I can find it. So he said it was great because I'll go through the whole story.
So wait a minute, Biz picking on the fans, the Islander fans,
calling them classless. Yeah, Goring. There it is. So, let's find it.
This is all on Twitter.
All on Twitter.
X, right?
X. Elon Musk's X, and now I'm not finding it. So let me just do a search.
What's he thinking?
Anyway, I'm not finding the quote, but so basically, Biz, called the Islander fans whatever. He said classless chumps, and Butch Goring came out and called him a clown.
Oh,
yeah. He's like, you want to see? Well, no, but Biz was great with it. He's like, look, he goes, Butch is bringing the smoke, and the guy's a legend, and he's 70 whatever years old, but it was pretty cool. Like,
so he didn't go back at him hard. He just
not at all. No, so it was good. It was really good that how he handled, because he's super smart, Biz, at what he does.
Yeah, you're right. He is too. Yeah.
But that leads us to a debate, and I think your debate is Hedman versus Tavares. Is that what you want to go with?
Well, not even that debate against who's better. It's just I'm not that high on Tavares at all.
Really?
I'm really high on Hedman. I think he's.
I think in hindsight he should have been the number one pick.
Yeah. I just think with Tavares, it's one of those cases where he's not a bad player by any means, but I just don't. It's all like he gets built up his first overall pick in the draft. It's all built up that he's this fantastic player. I just don't see it. He's a good player. Like he's a second line player.
You think he's soft?
No, I don't think he's soft. No, I think he's a character player, actually. I just don't think.
1,000-point career, though. 1,000 points.
Yeah. I guess when I watch him play, though, after I watch the game, do I think to myself, wow, he really dominated that game.
No, but you're right. He's not like, okay, so you watch Jack Hughes, you're like, okay, you know where this kid is every shift he's out there. Yeah. Tavares, yeah, he's a good, but you don't really notice him like that. But then he's got 1 goal, 3 assists, or 2 goals, 2 assists.
Yeah, I guess to get 1,000 points, that's saying something. Well, I think like even Toronto, like I don't think Toronto's team is put together properly. You got too many high end guys based on salaries, especially at forward.
Oh yeah.
You look at the teams that really manage the cap well. They've got like 2 high end guys forward, 1 defenseman, 1 goaltender, and then they fill in all the other pieces.
They got 4 high end forwards on Toronto.
Yeah, so it really limits them what they can do. And even just from a standpoint of like you can't have all stars. Like the old Herb Brooks thing, I want the right players, not the best players.
Right.
Like you look back at the Islanders, like Billy Carroll, for an example, the 4th line centerman for them. He may not have played on a lot of other teams in the National Hockey League,
right?
But he was a perfect fit for the Islanders, right? I love Billy Carroll the way he played. We played against each other in junior. I think he played St. Mike's up there, and I was Bramley. So I want to be critical of him at all, but I just think, I bet you if Toronto was to look back, instead of signing Tavares, they just don't sign Tavares. Let him go someplace else. But it's kind of hard to do when he's the hometown guy. And
that was before Austin. Well, Austin Matthews was good. I guess Nylander was young. Marner was he was still very good. So yeah, it's a tough call. Going way back to the draft, if you remember, the Islanders, it was kind of also you're disappearing into the ether here, Tom.
I saw that.
You're like you're very starry.
The sun's coming in.
I think so. I think the sun's melting you. But if you remember when that draft came out, it was Tavares was going to be 1 and Hedman was going to be 2, and there was a debate. But the Islanders were pretty steadfast, and they were going to pick Tavares. But Hedman, man, what a player he turned out to be.
Yeah, and I don't think one of our guests we had on here, Brian Lawton, made that pick too
He did.
I think too. Yeah, I don't think a lot of people really thought that Hedman was ultimately going to be as good as he has become. When they won their last cup, and you only needed 1 defenseman up there when he was there.
Yeah, he wanted a Conn Smythe. He's got a Conn Smythe.
Dominant all over the ice. Big
Norris Trophy.
Yeah, power play, penalty killing.
Yeah, beast, 6'6", just good skater, good player.
Yeah. Oh man, I remember watching and I thought he'd be good. We had Kevin Allen when he was working for USA Today did this piece where he took the original 6 teams and he got 6 of us guys to be the general manager for the team. So I was with the Rangers. Doug McLean was I can't remember who he was with. So he had a whole bunch of different guys that he really knew well, and then we did a mock draft.
Sure,
a full 20-man team.
Sounds like fun. What era is this? How long ago?
So this was 7 or 8 years ago, probably.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And I had picked Hedman, and a lot of guys were like, really? You think he's that good? Actually, it was funny because I'd seen Vasilevsky play over in Russia because I had done
you did?
So I knew how good he was going to be. And I knew I talked to the scouts for Tampa, and they wanted to be very quiet about it all because they had Ben Bishop, I think was a goalie.
He was a goalie, yeah.
Right. And so I picked Lundqvist with the Rangers, and then I picked Vasilevsky. And the guy's like, he's a backup goaltender. What are you talking about? Yeah. But I'd had the inside scoops. I said, well, he's going to be a Vezina Trophy winner in about 5 years. So.
Well, Vasilevsky, what a goalie. 2 cups, right? Just a great big, giant goaltender.
Oh, competitor, professional. I talked to one of their scouts. They loved his attitude. He was just...
Well, if you remember, internationally, Russian goaltending was terrible for a long time.
Yep.
And they got together. I think Tretiak led the thing. Is like, we got to develop goalies. Because if we're behind the world in goalies, and look what they did. Yeah. They regrouped.
Look, for a while there was a Finnish goaltenders that were all doing really well.
Pekarinen and Kiprasov and so. But look at now. I mean, it's the best goalies in the world are Russian.
Yeah.
You have Igor. You have Sorokin. You have Vasilevsky. I mean, there's so many good goalies.
And the thing about them too, they're really like hard-working professional guys too. Like they're just.
Well, I think that knock on Europeans is bullshit, and I think that that was back in your day where like these Europeans work hard, these Russians don't care. Like,
and the Swedes were soft and all that kind of stuff. And there was some Swedes that were not as competitive, but I mean that was the same way with North American players too. Like Kent Nielsen, as much as Kent Nielsen was a great player, he was kind of a softer player. I'm not saying he shied away from it, but I remember my first game I played against him, and I was young and everything. They put me out against him, and I just hacked him on the arm and punched him in the head.
Yeah, because everybody loves that. They love to get hacked and punched in the head. Who wants that? Gretzky didn't like to get hacked and punched. Mario didn't like to get hacked and punched.
I'll tell you, if you ever punch Wayne in the head, you have guys chasing you all over the place. Semenko and McSorley and McClellan, those guys that chase you around all day.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's what Prop said on our show. He said, he knew you were going to hack him, and then you also knew that Dave Brown was on that team and some of those other big guys,
I forgot. I broke my stick over Brian Prop's arm in a preseason game.
Wow.
Yeah. Ted Sater was his first year Ted Sater was coaching. He sent me out there to get him. And,
He sent you out there. He said, go hurt Brian Prop?
Well, he says, go send a statement or something like that out there. Make sure you take care of Prop or whatever.
That could be a big check, though, or, a hit, but not breaking a stick over the guy's arm, baseball swing. Tom, come on. I can't believe you came on our show. In hindsight, you know.
The next play, he came down the boards again, and I went to hit him again. He stopped. He wouldn't go down the boards.
No, yeah. Sorry, message sent. Oh, by the way, you're invited to play in his charity game in April. We went down to last time. So you should get out there and skate.
Yeah, we got the charity game in Detroit, too. Rangers.
Yeah, when is that one?
April 27th, I believe.
And we're also going to, I think his is April 2nd, if I'm not mistaken. We're also going to do the outdoor game. We have to do a show for the outdoor game. That should be pretty cool.
Absolutely. Going to Vegas next month.
Who's on the trip with you? Who's the roster?
Who's the roster? So it's put on by Caesars. So there's some fans that spend a lot of money on tickets, but we got 8 guys coming from alumni guys. Darren Langdon, myself.
Nice.
Stefan Matteau, Adam Graves, Brian Mullen, Ron Greshner. Who am I missing? 8 guys. I can't remember.
Some of the newer guys?
No, it was pretty much all the older guys.
Nice.
Yeah, I think it was like I didn't realize this, but it's kind of a thank you for all the stuff we've done for the Rangers.
Sweet. You going to gamble?
I'm not a gambler at all. I have no interest in it.
Some
guys will sit there. Some guys will sit there at the table for hours.
Really?
No,
the Dukes going with you? He seems like he might like the slots.
No, Dukes is exiled.
Oh, he's exiled again. Okay. How about Nicky? Is he going?
Yes, Nicky's going. That's the other one. Yeah.
There you go.
Nicky's going.
What about the boxcar? Does he go with you or no?
No, he's not going. No. Just I guess Jackie's favorites.
All right, that should be fun.
Yeah.
Break out that video camera, man.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, we're gonna go see the Sphere. You know, the thing that
that looks amazing. Yeah, that looks so crazy. That's cool.
So the Rangers play on the 18th against the Vegas. So we're going for that game, and then the next night we go to the Sphere, and then we're at home. So
you going out with Jackie going out there? Mike Fasulo going with you?
Jackie's going. I think Mike's going as well. I think they're invite all the wives or girlfriends. So
all right. So you have an empty seat next year.
Yeah. Well, maybe we find somebody to go. A little advertise.
Listen, if you're interested in going to Vegas with Tom, email fullchangepodcast@gmail.com. He can also do impressions, singing, cooking, squirrel training.
Oh, yeah. Making a squirrel show. He's in a squirrel show. Yeah. We had a good conference call yesterday. Another call later on today, actually, with this Roscoe Mountain Lodge. So we're going to be putting events on up there.
That's right. That's awesome.
Yeah, so Roscoe Mountain Lodge is a 1,000-acre resort that is newly renovated by a family that bought it in New Jersey. 1,000 acres, golf course, outdoor hockey rink, lodge, a big brand new kitchen, everything. So we're going to go up there and do motivational stuff, mental health. We'll see if we can do like a simulated Survivor, like talk about what it was like to go on Survivor, play Survivor, train.
Yeah, you were on that show.
Yes, I was. Yeah, starred, actually. I was starred.
Right, you're a star of the first 4 episodes.
5, thank you.
First 5 episodes. Were you with or just featuring? How were you billed? Featuring Tom Laidlaw, with Tom Laidlaw, and
first ever Canadian on the show. That's how I was billed.
Yeah, and the truth is, as you said several times, that Canadians didn't realize they could be on the show.
Well, it was the show itself didn't realize Canadians could be on the show. They trademarked it from somebody else, I guess, or I don't know if I'm using the right term there as trademark, but then they called the person up one day and they said, "Well, can we have Canadians on the show?" And the person goes, "Yeah,
of course."
Yeah, Probst did a show on that, talking about how they just assumed that they couldn't have Canadians on.
Do you guys still talk? You and Jeff Probst? You guys?
No, he's done. Yeah, I'm not one of his.
You're not in his circle, I see.
Well, yeah, the guys that really do well on the show, and they really like having it, they're very dramatic. There's always the crying and drama and everything. So.
Were you like that? Because you had to be that in your interview. You had to show like, I'm Tom Laidlaw. I can do push-ups in the sand.
I did pour it on pretty good. Yeah,
I saw you did.
Yeah, I loved it when he asked these 2 girls what they thought of me in the first meeting we had. Oh, we like him. He's confident, but he's not cocky. And the other woman goes, "Oh, he's totally cocky." Yes.
Then you,
that's what you want when you get in. And the casting director really tries to school you a little bit when you're going into these meetings.
Sure, like basically mold your character. This is how you're going to be.
Yeah, like be forceful. Don't sit. And I didn't even sit down. I stood up, stood right over top of Probst. Probst is loving it too because I was just all right in his face. And the producers were funny too. So there was one of the producers there at the first meeting, and then later on there was another meeting, just the producers, and they're sitting around drinking beer and eating pizza. And it's terrible. I gotta look up this guy's name. The executive producer, I think he's a funny guy too. And he handed me a beer because we talked about me losing teeth because I'd opened beer bottles with my teeth when I was younger.
You didn't try that, did you?
No, he handed me a beer bottle that was open. He says, "Listen, I'm sorry, I hope I didn't insult you." And what do you mean you insult me? He says, "Well, the beer bottle's open. You wanted me to put a cap on." He was funny. He was the guy that was, so this Dean Kowalski was on the show. He was a college basketball player. We hit it off, and the last tribal challenge that we had, there was a basketball portion to it. There's 3 basketball nets in the water floating.
Yes, you told us this. Yes.
So I'm thinking, okay, he's a basketball player. So I really just strategized. And I think, okay, this is it. I'm going to make it. I'll make it through this thing. So I said, okay, Dean, you work this so that you're shooting all the shots. And I just stood there. People were like, why are you not shooting? I said, well, I'm not a basketball player. He is. So the producer at a little party we had after when we got voted off came to me. He started laughing and going, we looked up how many points Dean had in his college career. How many do you think he had? And I'm thinking, well, obviously, if you're coming to me telling me there's not too many. He said he had 5 points in 4 years.
1.25 points per season.
Yeah, I forgot to ask him how many points he got. I just assumed he was a good basketball player.
So he was a duster. He was a pine runner. Yeah. Okay. So he was on the bench.
Oh, we strategized. We got up early in the morning. So okay, we got to save ourselves because we'd had the tribe swap, and we were down in numbers. So the 5 people from the FICO tribe, I can't remember what the name was. So they're now over on our tribe, and they're banded together. And there's 3 of us. That was on the old Lyro tribe. So they're going to pick us off.
They want to kick
yeah. Or else we thought they'd lose on purpose because it was 4-4 on the other side. They didn't want to get their guys voted off.
Okay.
Alliance with. So we thought they may throw the challenge. So we got up early in the morning, planned the whole thing, and got out there and I said, okay, this is great. We're surviving it. He doesn't get it. So.
But were you the first pro athlete on Survivor?
Nope. So there was Jimmy Johnson, the coach, football, the coach. He was on it.
The Cowboys coach was on it?
Yeah, a few years ago, yeah.
How long did he last?
I don't think he lasted very long. He was he was begging to stay. He said, listen, just leave me here because I'm not going to win anyway. So just don't.
He was an old guy.
Yeah.
At the time.
Jeff Kent, the football or basketball.
Oh, baseball player. Second baseman, San Francisco Giants, New York Mets. Oh, yeah, I didn't know that.
There's a couple of basketball guys, too, and I can't remember who they were. And then remember the pitcher? He pitched, and he was one who was really racist, and he made a bunch of comments.
John Rocker.
He was on. He was a jerk on there, too.
Was he?
Oh, yeah. He got into it. They were baiting him. Like, they knew who he was. He tried to pretend that he wasn't John Rocker, but he was so famous. Like, it really hurt him because the other guys, especially they were playing, they knew it was John Rocker.
Yeah, and I think he was just chirping. I don't think he was just chirping Met fans, and it turned into a whole big thing.
Well, didn't he say he was riding on the L train? And
cute. I think, yeah, he's riding the train, and it's like I'm going to the United Nations.
Yeah.
Which isn't necessarily it. It's a compliment, kind of. But, Queens is the most diverse borough in the country. So
he, once they all realized who he was, there's these 2 girls, they were pretty successful, 2 sisters. I think they were Indian. And they were baiting him. Like they were saying stuff to him.
Yeah.
He took the bait, too.
What a dummy.
Yeah. His girlfriend and her wife, she was a very pretty woman, too. And she was like, they had the camera on her when he's backing the girls. And she's going, oh, my God, John.
Just shut up. Bud.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, a lot of money at stake on that show.
What's that, sir?
A lot of money at stake on that show, so you want to stay out as long as you can.
Oh, yeah. The $1 million check, yeah. And then there's this one singer, I can't remember her name. She's a big Survivor fan. She gives him a $100,000 check as well.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. And that's, who was not on Survivor, professional athlete, our next guest, Brad Smith, Motor City Smitty, someone you fought and lost. You lost that fight, right?
No,
you got
That was just a good battle between 2 tough guys.
You got smoked. Well, let's see what he has to say. He's a gritty forward, gritty player, and you're someone you went to town with. So
yeah, it's funny too. But we had that fight. That was early in both our careers, and then he was working for Colorado as a scout. I was in the Asian business. You know that, and we became really good friends.
Cool.
Yeah.
People are gonna love this. He's got a great personality. They're gonna love this show.
He's like a Mick Vukota, those kind of guys, right? With the storytelling and everything.
Let's get to it. Motor City Smitty.
Hey, Tom. These are some of my favorite shows because today we have another guy who you had a tussle with. We have Motor City Smitty, Brad Smith, on the show.
Let's get this out of the way. I knew this was going to happen right off the get-go. Just get it out of the way and I'll explain everything to you what happened.
Well, okay, so it was my rookie year, I think. So I thought I was Mr. Tough. When I came to the NHL, I seriously, I thought I was going to beat everybody up. I really thought I was the toughest guy in the National Hockey League. Then you get there, and it's like there's Clark Gillies, there's Bob Nystrom, there's Paul Holmgren. So I thought, okay, I didn't know that you were as tough as you were. So I said, I'm going to pick on this guy here. I didn't know.
You can play the tape. Go ahead.
No, I played it plenty of times, yeah. So I won. So if you're going to be,
wasn't that the first game of the season?
I think it was early.
Wasn't it? I think it was Herb Brooks' first game coaching.
Well, that was my second year then. So that would have been Yeah. So it would have been my second year. So like, here's the thing. I find out later on that he's going around fighting everybody in the National Hockey League. And I'm thinking, oh, thank God I did okay in that one.
That fight took place in March of 81. That's your first year, right?
81. So no, so it's my first year. That's the end of my first year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So what happened? Let's hear your version of the fight.
My version of the fight, we were winning 4-1. You want to get after me. You said something to me, then I let you have me. You got me pretty good, but you didn't knock me down. You didn't cut me open. You didn't break my nose, even though it looks like it's broken. And, you try to bring your team up, pump them up, pump the building up. It didn't matter. We won 5-2. But you got me at the end of my shift. That wasn't fair.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I was picking on him. No, big time.
He frustrated me.
Oh, totally. Yeah, I wasn't going to let him. I didn't realize how tough he was. That's one of the things, like you fight something. Like I fought Martin McSorley early in his career, and I didn't know who he was. And then later on, he's going around fighting everybody. So I was thinking, thank God.
Yeah, enlisted. I wasn't that tough. I had to fight these guys. I didn't want to fight these guys. People don't understand this. At one time, I was in the American League for 20 games, led the league in scoring. When I was in junior, at one time before I got traded, I was third in the league in scoring behind Gretzky and Smith. I had the most goals in the league. Wow. And I also led the Central League in scoring at one time. So I get called up, and Harry Neal wants me to fight these guys. I said, we got guys who can fight. I said, I don't have to fight these guys. I'll never forget, we played the Russians. The Russians came in, I scored 2 goals. We beat them, I think, 4-1 or 4-2. And we played the next night, and we're going up for warm-up, and here he goes, I'm not so sure you're playing tonight. But if you're playing tonight, send somebody a message. I said, oh, really? I just scored 2 goals against the greatest hockey teams in the world. Do you want me to go there and start a fight? So that's how I started fighting. I didn't want to fight because I had to fight those guys too.
So no, had you been a fighter before that though? Or Harry just decided he wanted to make you it?
No, just because I played hard and, I went there without a contract, and you know how it is. You go there and you got to fight guys and run guys over and get a name for yourself. But I remember Clark Gillies in Detroit one day, he came out of the penalty box, and I had my stick up in the air, I turned around, I didn't see him, I cut him like right here, pretty bad. And he dropped his gloves, and I was scared to death. I would just, this is not fucking right. Excuse me, this is not right. So
it gets
so we're, jockeying around, and just luckily he stepped on a stick and fell, and I got on top of him. I was like, this. He goes, don't you hit me. I says, okay. And then I'll tell you something. About 10 years later, 12 years later, I was at the Toronto airport, flying back to Seattle, and these 2 good-looking girls came up to me, and they said, my dad wants to see you. What's talking? I didn't know who the dad was, and I thought I was getting played. I thought there was going to be, someone's got a camera, like one of those hidden camera things, and they finally grabbed me and said, come on. So I went to the bar, and there's Clark Gillies.
Oh,
and he goes, I'll never forget how you let me off the hook 15 years ago. Let's have a beer. I said, I think if I had hit you, I would have committed suicide.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh, that's funny. He's a good man too. It's amazing what a good guy he was, because he was a scary man on the ice. Oh man. Oh,
yeah. I got a picture actually of me and him at taking a face, not taking a face off, but the face off circle. Yeah. And I'm a decent sized guy. I'm almost 6'2", 220 pounds. This guy made me look like a little boy.
I know. Oh, you tell a great story though. I think you were with the Leafs at the time. You went into Boston, and they had John Wensick and Terry O'Reilly and all those guys. Didn't you get into a huge brawl with a bunch of guys there in Boston?
I was in Vancouver in my first year.
Oh.
And I remember we had a matinee game in the Boston Garden. It was like my 3rd or 4th game pro. And it was really cool to get in the Boston Gardens. And, I was really happy to play and excited to play the Boston Gardens, get a shot on Gary Cheevers. And then we go for warm-ups, and I'm looking around, I'm skating around the ice, and I said, oh, geez, this might not be that much fun. I mean, there's, there's Milbury, there's Schmutz, there's Winsink, there's O'Reilly, there's Cashman. I mean, it just goes on and on and on and on. So, everything's fine. And about halfway through the first period, there's, you know how the old, and maybe they still do it, they put the red light in the penalty box for commercial.
Yeah.
So I'm on the bench, and remember the Boston broke the gardens, the benches that were up high.
Yeah.
He sat up really high.
Yeah. That's right.
And Bobby Schmatz comes over and he goes, "You guys are scared shitless." And no one does a word. No one says nothing. We had some tough guys. You had Kurt Fraser and Stan Smith, Jack McElroy. Nobody says anything. Harry goes like, "Somebody do something." So I stand up. I said, like the typical thing, get out of here and take your head off, typical hockey jargon.
Yeah.
Well, he goes and he wants to spear me, like right in the chest. Like, so I got my stick up like this. I hit him. My stick breaks on his shoulder.
Yes.
The referee comes over and he goes, you're out of here. I said to myself at the time, thank God. I can't go through this all night. So I'm going across and the penalty box from red bench. So I'm going down the runway and you go down and turn left. And, well, first of all, before I went down there, all the Boston Bruin guys are yelling at me.
Right.
So I put a little show on. I said, I'll take care of you. I'll get you later. The whole thing. The referee or the linesman had got a hold of me. And these guys are just crawling over.
Now remember, hold on. To go off the ice, you have to go through the Bruins bench basically to get off the ice.
Yeah, right there. Like they're a foot away.
Yeah.
So I'm yelling at these guys, and finally I leave and I go to the dressing room, and all of a sudden Andy Van Helden's chasing me. I said, he's blowing his whistle. I said, what do you want? He goes, get back here. Said, get back here. You threw me out of the game. He goes, no, you got too much for a nice stick and get the penalty box.
Oh, that's the worst thing you want to hear.
No, I'm in the penalty box. And I made this. I said this phrase earlier on, and I'll never forget. The guys are yelling at me, and one guy kind of stoically said, "You just committed suicide." I'm just looking like I wanted to go home.
Right.
I wanted to go home. I really did. And anyways, so we got up. The penalty's over. I can't get to the bench quick enough. So Harry sends me right back on the ice. They got O'Reilly, Winsink, and Schmatz.
Oh,
poison. Oh. So I'm beside Winsink, and he hits me in the back of the ankles. Or, back of the heels. Hits me again. Hits me a third time. I said, listen, if you want to fight, let's just fucking fight. I don't want to fight this guy. He's going to kill me, And so he starts laughing. I said, what's so funny? He goes, the guys love what you did. The guys love what you did.
Oh, really? He said that. I forgot you told me that. Yeah.
He said, you just have a good time tonight. We're not going to bother you. The rest of your guys are in big trouble. So I go back to the dressing room after the period. Harry goes, what'd you say to him? I said, Harry, if you bother anybody tonight, I'm coming right after you, Winsink.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, I remember you told that story before. And I forgot about the Winsink part. Him saying that to you.
Yeah, I'm just sure. Like seriously, and like you fought, I fought. Didn't like fighting. Like how many times when you fought were you actually really mad? Like you really wanted to fight?
That was more me. If I didn't get mad, I wasn't a good fighter at all. Like I see these guys now that are smart fighters, that the second half fighters, like Darren Lang that I represented. He was like that. Me, I just get mad. And in fact, I couldn't even remember half the fight.
Well, let me jog your memory a little bit here. Your first fight, you suckered Robert Picard.
That wasn't my. Well, that was. I wasn't. Yeah, it was. Yeah, I suckered. But yeah, it was. Did you really know what you were doing, or you just get mad and fight?
No, I when I was in high school, I took boxing lessons with a guy named Jim French. He was a Canadian middleweight champion at one time. He was I believe, a geography teacher.
Right. And
I just took it for like balancing and learn how to throw a punch and that kind of stuff. Did I know really how to? I fought junior a few times. I fought. I wasn't a good fighter, but I no one ever ragged all of me or cut me open or really beat me up. I just hung in there. I was smart that way. I always tucked my chin because you don't want to get hit in the chin, because you get hit in the chin, you're done. So
yeah. So you didn't enjoy fighting at all?
No, a couple times. we were playing in Chicago, and I went by the Chicago bench, and Dave Hutchison suckered me. I just went crazy. Like I lost my mind. I went back and went after jumped to the bench, and I lost my mind. Right. You literally couldn't tear me off. Right. And I get him. I was trying to gouge his eyes out. I remember one time I should say I had my fingers, one finger up his nostril, other face right off. And I said to myself, if I ever see this guy ever in my life, I'm gonna kill him. Sure enough, next summer I'm downtown Toronto. I wasn't playing for Toronto. Yeah, no, I wasn't playing for Toronto then. I played for Detroit. But I'm downtown Toronto. I don't know what I was doing there. And I walked into the corner, and guess who I bumped into? Dave Hutchison. He puts his head out. He goes, "Hey, Smitty, how you doing?" At that time, you couldn't do anything. I wasn't mad anymore,
Yeah, I know.
Good guy, though. Great guy.
And you got suckered by Lee Norwood with St. Louis. He hit you once and hurt you, and then he suckered you after that. Did you ever get him back for that?
Yeah, that was this. We were losing 2-1, and there was about 2 minutes to go in the game, and I looked around and I speared him right, maybe 2.5 minutes to go in the game, and I speared him right in the stump. Like I speared him as hard as I could. Well, he chased me. He was mad. So by the time he got up to me, I was at the net behind the net. And he just dropped his gloves. I just hung on to the crossbar, and he just pummeled away at me. Like didn't hurt me. Well, actually, I got a black eye out of that. But 60 seconds later, Solomon scored the power play to tie the game, and then we won in overtime. That was the playoff game. Wow. Yeah.
Isn't it funny how they talk like there was a code back then? There's no freaking code. Guys would do whatever they had to do to hurt each other. I remember you talk about Bobby Schmatz. He was in Vancouver, played against him, and I pushed him back, and he came forward and he tomahawked my head. I had the helmet on, and I'm thinking to myself, did he really do that? And then Barry Beck goes over and goes, he looked at Schmatz. I guess he knew. He says, "You just chopped him on the head." Yeah, it must. Yeah. Oh God. So I think the cold part, like you talk about gouging the eyes and everything.
Well, I think the code is that you don't sucker Wayne Gretzky. You don't go after Marcel Dion. You don't hit LaFleur or Bossy, right?
Well, you didn't fight those guys because if you fought Gretzky, Smith was going to come beat the crap out of you. Yeah. It wasn't because there's some code. Yeah, I remember playing, we played against the Islanders, and Bob Nystrom was not playing. I played a totally different game. I was hammered and lost all the time. Yeah. There's just no way about it. Like I remember Bob Nystrom came to me one time during the game. He says, "I let you hit me," and it's like,
well, you guys aren't going to hit Guy Lafleur, right?
Oh yeah. If somebody isn't there to protect them, yeah, absolutely. And even more so back then, I think it was like once you did it, they would chase you around for every time you played against them too. Get that reputation.
Yeah, it was a lot different back then than it is now. I mean, I had a real good fight one time with Kevin McClellan, and he's tough.
Yeah, really tough.
It was a fight. I actually fought too. I actually knocked him down on his knees. The last punch. But he looked at me and he goes, "Good fight." That was really weird. And it was a good fight, but nowadays guys hug each other.
Oh, I know.
It wasn't that way back then.
But it's like we hated each other. Like we're friends now. Smitty and I are friends now, but when I played against you, I hated you. Yeah, you're on the other team. Totally. Yeah, I was that kind of fighter, but I could, first, 10, 15 seconds throw with anybody. But then that was it for me. Like other guys, the smarter fighters, those guys, like now they group, they start again. Like fighting McSorley, I did all right against McSorley early in the fight, but then I realized, okay, he's not quitting.
But you were strong. You were a big, strong.
Yeah, I had that. And like you said, I could fight, but it was more, if I got in a fight, it was to throw a few and then hold on. And yeah. Where did you grow up? You grew up in Windsor, didn't you?
Windsor, Ontario, yeah.
And did you play your junior hockey there? Where'd you play?
Yeah, played there, and then I got traded to Sudbury. But halfway through the year. But yeah, we're there. My mom's still there. My brothers are there, and mom's 89.
Oh wow!
I was there last week, visiting her, so that was kind of nice.
Yeah,
you doing good?
Yeah. Is your father still alive?
No, I lost him a while ago. Oh, yeah, melanoma.
Oh, okay. So I grew up in Brampton, Ontario. Actually,
right.
So who's the Quenneville? So remember back in the day when you were kids playing in tournaments, you would go stay at Billet's house?
Yep.
So we went over to Windsor, and I stayed at Quinville's house, and then he came. We had a tournament. He came and stayed at my house.
So you played Riverside.
Yes, yeah. Is that where he played? Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty cool because you get to meet people and you stay friends with them for a while. Just, you know what, in the NHL back then, the guy was on the other team. Like when he said, it was just, like talking to you. Even if you knew the guy, like before the game, you didn't talk to him. Like you didn't skate around in warm-ups, talk to each other. Like you see guys in warm-ups now, they're at the red line there, and they're on each side of the red line. They're talking to each other like they're buddies.
Oh, I know.
Our way was better. Yeah. Yeah. You're going in, but again, we tried to hurt each other too, though. Like if you don't necessarily hurt them, but like if our job was to hit.
Yeah. Like there were some vicious guys back then. I mean, what was the one guy? Hilliard Graves.
Yes. Yeah.
He took Bobby Orr's knees out.
Yeah.
He's a little guy, about 170, 165, and he torpedoed guys. He'd hurt guys.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like back then, like, some of those guys like Schmatz.
Yep.
These guys, they'd hurt you. It wasn't fun going there and playing against these guys. I love when we played against Philadelphia. Nobody wanted to play. I got to play every other shift. But it was fun. At least I played.
The old joke was that they'd pull up with the bus and they'd turn the bus off and it'd still be shaking because everybody's so nervous.
Yeah.
It's true. I mean, listen, if you had to be aware when you played those. I think in some ways it made you play a better game, especially if you're a physical player. You better be awake.
Crazy. The house.
Yeah. And they hated the Rangers too. I didn't realize how much. Well, particularly Rangers. When Dave Brown was playing, some of the stuff he did, like cross-checking Thomas Sanson with the head and everything. I got traded to LA. We came back, our first road trip, played Philly. And we line up, and he comes on the ice, gets beside me, and I'm thinking, oh, here we go. This big dummy. And he starts talking. He says, tell me, how do you like LA? Like, I'm his buddies now because I'm not playing for the Rangers anymore.
Oh, really?
Well, yeah.
He's actually a nice man.
Yes, I've met him a few times. Very good guy. Yeah, very good. So you were never drafted in the NHL then?
I was drafted in Vancouver.
Oh, okay. I forgot about that part. How long did you spend in Vancouver?
My first year, I think I played like 20 games, and the next year maybe another 25 or 30. Then got traded for Ivan Boldarev and Darcy Robic.
Good player.
Wow, that's a good player. Yeah.
When you were with the Flames, you were there when they moved to Calgary. Did you guys know that was coming? Was that hanging over your heads, or was that just odd that your whole team?
That's actually a great question. I remember the playoffs. Actually, we were playing the Rangers in the playoffs. Remember the 2 out of 3?
Yeah.
And Cliff came in the dressing room. He goes, if we don't win the series, we'll be moving out of Atlanta. Sure enough, about 2 months later, we didn't win the series, and we moved to Calgary. I was original Flame.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. And that's the old Saddle Dome too. Not the Saddle Dome, the Corral, right?
The old Corral, yeah.
That's crazy. They just dropped it like that on you guys in the playoffs? This is it? Or you're moving to Calgary?
Yeah, the general manager came in the dressing room, said, you need to win the series or we're moving, because the guys loved Atlanta.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of the guys like Eric Vale, Willie Plett, all those guys, they're still down there.
Yeah. So the Corral, though.
Well, you went to Bowling Green, right?
Well, Northern Michigan.
That's right, Northern Michigan. Yeah.
So Tom's talking about the story. I tried out for the Olympic team, and we had the final training camp was at the Calgary Corral, and we didn't have much money, so we were staying at a double wide construction trailer. And I won't name the two other guys because they've got NHL careers going on now. Wow. Sure. Well, Jim Nell and Paul McLean and I decided we'd go for a few beers, like the first night of training camp. Mm-hmm. And so we get home like 2 o'clock in the morning or whatever. We decided we're going to take the furniture out of the TV room and put it on top of the trainer's car out of the parking lot. And those two guys went to bed. I thought it was a brilliant idea to go tell the trainer that we did it. So I woke him up like at 3 a.m. And remember old Father Bauer used to run Hockey Canada back then?
Yes.
So now, again, in my mind, I'm thinking this is funny, good bonding experience. Everybody's going to be laughing about this. So in the morning, Father Bauer comes outside. We're all going to go over to the corral for practice. And I think he's going to come over and hug me and go, Tom, that was funny what you did last night. He hands me a plane ticket and sends me home.
Oh, God. And the rest is history.
Yeah. Canada wouldn't win the gold medal if I was there. Yeah.
That's right.
Remember the old corral too? Remember the boards were like 10 feet high, and they're made of cement too.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say that. Like you had to be very careful along the boards because they didn't budge. They didn't budge at all.
And you had a big team too, like Hunter and I think Willie Plett was there by then, and all the other big guys.
That's huge. Brad Marsh.
Yeah, that's right.
Eric Vale.
Yeah.
point. Right.
You know,
You mentioned your original thing. How good was Kent Nielsen? Because he's very underrated.
oh, she was unbelievable. I'll never forget. We were in the bench, and somehow Albert Neal said, you're getting up and you're playing with next line, you're going to play right away with Kent Nielsen. And Kent, he's on the bench. He goes, when I get the puck, we just follow me. I said, what do you mean? He goes, just follow me when I get the puck. Okay. And I said, okay. So he's on the right side. He's going behind the net. I follow this guy. Like he told me, I'm a 4 feet behind him. He goes behind the net. The goalie goes this way. He backhand passes with the puck. I got 4x6 to shoot at. I shot in the empty net.
That's funny. How long
This
did
guy
you go?
can go to center ice, and he'd hit the crossbar like 2 or 3 times. He was unbelievable.
Yeah, he's a skill player. Yeah. And how long did you spend in Calgary then?
I was there for about 50 games. I got traded at deadline to Detroit.
Okay. Motor City Smitty. That's where Motor City Smitty. How did that get started? The Motor City Smitty. Who started that?
I signed with Toronto in the summertime.
Yeah.
From Detroit, and the headlines in the sports paper was Motor City Smitty come to Toronto.
Oh,
nobody would call me Motor City.
Oh yeah.
No, yeah, Toronto is Motor City. So everybody calls me Motor.
Motor. That's right.
And that was Wendell Clark's rookie season, right? When you got traded there?
Yes. In fact, I assisted on his timed rookie goal, number 35 or 36.
Oh.
And I assisted on his record-breaking goal. I have the tape. I might send it to you. It was against Winnipeg, and Randy Carlisle was chasing me, and I threw it behind my back to Wendell, and he scored the empty net, sort of like a Kent Nielsen did to me.
Right.
And then all the players go on the ice. They go in the corner. They're hugging them. Like, I made the play. I just went to the bench by myself and held my stick like this to the bench. But, we played Edmonton about 2 nights later, and the guys obviously saw it on TV or on the highlight. And a lot of guys came up to me and goes, that was an unbelievable play. I felt really good about it,
Was he crazy as a rookie? Because you had Clark and you also had Al Iafrate, so you had 2 legendary, crazy guys.
Al, in practice, you could hit Al, or you couldn't hit him, but you ran into him. It was like running into a tree.
Yeah, he's a big man.
Oh, God.
We were Toronto, I can't remember, when we played in the Garden, and he was coming down the boards, and I didn't hit him. And more, I lifted him up, and he kind of slid along the top of the boards and ran into the turn.
Oh, I remember that. We'd lost his helmet.
Yeah, and he was going bald at the time. He couldn't.
No, I know.
He couldn't care less about the hit. He just wanted to get his helmet back on, so he couldn't see the bald spot on top of his head.
I'll never forget it. And you're right. You're right on. Like, he'd come in the dressing room for practice.
Yeah.
And the first thing he would do is get his helmet.
Oh.
Then he'd go to the change room, and he just got back with his helmet on and clothes.
Oh, yes. When I saw him after that, I think it was in L.A., and he couldn't wait to come up to me because that hit was unbelievable, Tommy. That's really cool. Did you get shaved in that shock thing, initiated?
Got shamed in Dallas.
Oh.
Rick Blight got me really good.
Oh.
Really good. And I don't believe in the shaving stuff. I'm totally against that. He got me really good. And I'll tell you what, the last thing he did is every time we played in practice, I'd run him and I'd run him and I'd run him. I'd go across the ice and run him. Joe Booker said, just leave him alone. I said, not a chance. Every time we scrimmaged or did something, I'd run him. Drills, I'd run him.
Can you imagine that? You made the biggest mistake of your life. You shaved this guy, and now he's going to chase you around the rest of your life.
We shaved one of my eyebrows off. Like, really?
Man. Isn't it funny? You think back, like, I used to think that was like kind of cool, the whole shaving thing. And I look back now, like, what were we thinking about? What good did it do to anybody? It didn't help anybody at all.
I never liked it. I didn't participate in it. Never. Even back when I was a kid.
Yeah, you're smart.
Never. I just had no use for it. Anyways.
Yeah, you think about the logic behind it, right? Like, why? Like, I guess how did it even start? I don't know how it even started.
We're now the rookies.
The rookies paid for dinner, right?
The rookies now take veterans up for dinner.
So now a guy making league minimum is taking out guys making $6 million a year.
And then when that first started too, they'd crank the bill up to like $30,000 or $40,000 drinking champagne and all that kind of stuff. I don't know if they even did they do that. I don't even know if they do that much
anymore. I think so. Yeah, I think we still do it.
Yeah. So how many years? So you had Vancouver, Atlanta, Calgary, Detroit, Toronto. That's it.
Played parts of 10 years, in the minors and the National League. So yeah, 10 years.
Good. And why? What made you finally retire?
I hurt my back and I was in a hospital traction for about 4 or 5 days.
Oh wow!
And what it was I had a bulge in my disc, but this was still healthy. It didn't like a jelly donut, it stays in the don't, And I took the doctor would let me play for 2 or 3 months. Came back skating and hurt it a little bit. I just said to myself, I can't do this. And I just I'm not gonna. Back then, we didn't have the medical things like we do now. And we
didn't know how to train. You didn't know how to train either, right? Like if we learned to train our core, like we know now. I was the same way. Yeah, I hurt my back, and I was just a stubborn old guy. So I would just have another beer, and it would be fine. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's funny. Like you think back, I've told stories a lot of times, and it kind of surprises people. The culture back then, the drinking beer, like that was all part of being a hockey player back then, wasn't it?
Yeah, it just we people would say all kinds of things about us and that kind of stuff. They thought like we were kind of players, and we would go here and go dancing here. We go in the city. First thing we do is go to some pub.
Yeah,
spend 2 hours in the pub and go to a real good restaurant, have a good meal, be in bed by 9 o'clock.
Yeah, totally.
It just fun back then. I remember quick story. Talk about beer. Like we had a day off, and we're in Calgary, and we go across the country.
Yeah.
Like we go in LA or something. Like we there was a direct flight. We have to stop somewhere.
Right.
And Al McNeil said, no drinking. And those guys, they were going to the bar right in between our layover, and remember Eric Bale. These guys were funny, and they drank beer, but they were good guys. Yeah. And we're going to the bar. Everybody's going to this bar in the airport. So we all go to the bar in the airport. And Pierre Pagé, he's going around and he's sneaking around to see us. Oh, here, Neil goes, "Hey, Pierre, come in here, have a beer."
Isn't it different now? Because guys are like, the coaches and GMs tell them not to drink. And they're like, screw that. We're going to go drink. We're adult men. If we want to drink a beer, we're going to drink a beer. Yeah. Oh, that's funny. But I also think that's what made the guys like harder too, like on the ice. Like they all did it together. Everybody, and I've said this many times, where we'd all look at each other the next morning, and we'd all say, "Listen, we better come work our work." We didn't have to say it. It was just like, okay, we all went up, had fun. We all know what we did. Now we got to come and get to work.
You're right. We were in Philadelphia one night, and about 12 of us, the Europeans didn't participate. We went to Bookbinders. Remember that?
Yeah, sure.
And we lit it up. And I mean, lit it up. And we got to morning skate. I mean, there wasn't a puck hitting the stick.
Yeah.
And John Brophy was our coach.
Oh, yeah.
He was going crazy. He's at center ice, chopping center ice up with a stick. He skated us. We did wallies in the morning for about 45 minutes.
This is the pregame skate? Day of game?
Did again, the morning of the game. And Solomon said, "That's it. Just stop." Solomon called us all to center ice. And he goes, "We owe him one. We need to win tonight." And it's not an easy place to go in and win.
Yeah, no kidding.
We beat him 6-1.
Wow.
Nice. See, so the drinking was good for you guys.
Yeah, exactly. He played guilty.
Well, but that's the thing. People think, well, gee, would you have played better if you weren't drinking? And back in those days, it was just, that was all part of the culture, right? Like part of being the team. So we would have lost, maybe better physically, but we would have lost that whole
team. That's really that game. They had to step up.
Yeah.
And they didn't.
But as kids growing up, like you're talking about, like as kids growing up and admiring the National League and dreaming of playing the National League, all of a sudden your first time you're in Boston or or Toronto or wherever, you want to go out.
Yeah.
You want to see the city.
Yeah, no kidding.
You know, geez, I'm in Chicago. What do we do? You know, I heard about this place. Let's go to this place. You know.
Yeah, I know. We had Dave So. Remember him? We had him on, played the Rangers, and we were good buddies. And we're the same way. I think about it now too. We went up to Vancouver. We couldn't wait to get the number 5 Orange. You know, the strip joint there.
Yeah.
And we're putting some dummies. We don't take a cab or like that. It's raining in Vancouver, so we're walking around the city for 2 hours trying to find number 5 Orange.
They found it there.
Yeah, it's funny because there's an old guy sitting at the table. He was passed out, so we picked him up in his chair and moved him to another table. And we sat down at the table, and Silky ordered a bowl of chili. He got food poisoning, so he couldn't play the next day. From number 5 Orange.
And then, Brett, after you retired, you went back and you coached Windsor, right?
Yeah, I coached the Spitfires for 2 years and about 10 games, and I actually really enjoyed it. We had a good season, the second season, and then the next year, Wayne Maxter came in as the general manager, and he wanted to coach again, so they fired me. But I enjoyed it. I like what I'm doing more now, even though I'm not making money like a coach does. But I've enjoyed my job as a scout and traveling around. And, you know,
You've done that for a long time, like 20-some years.
Yeah, well, I've been with the Avalanche since we got to Denver.
Oh.
Dave Draper brought me there, and I've been there since day one. Yeah. 3 Stanley Cups.
So you went right into scouting after you got done coaching?
No, I took about a year off, and I went to some places like in the world to fish. I'm a big fisherman. I love fishing.
Oh.
And I traveled around and did a lot of fishing, and then actually Glenn Sather called me up one day. I was, you know, we had no cell phones back then. And,
yeah.
And he goes, you know, what are you doing? No, I got a message. I came in about 11 o'clock at night, 10:30 at night. And I called him up. I didn't know it was him, but it did sound like him. And he goes, I'm out somewhere. Call me tomorrow morning. So I called him the next morning. And he goes, like, what are you doing? I said, nothing. He goes, you want to get back into hockey? I said, yeah, kind of. You know, what do you got in mind? He goes, well, I want you to we're going to make a trade with Chicago. I want you to go follow the Blackhawks. And anyway, so I did that. And then he goes to me, I want you to go down to Cape Breton and watch the farm team. So I went down there for 7 days, and I came back. I actually met Glenn at the airport. And Glenn goes, how'd you like it down there? I said, good. You know, like this. You know, this player was good, this and that. He goes, well, I want you to go down there and coach. When I'm afraid of the coach, you're going to go coach. I said, I'm not doing that.
Hey, Cape Breton is not a lot going on. It's a beautiful place, but it's not a lot happening.
So I said, I just don't do that. And he goes, okay, we'll figure something up for you. And so I started scouting, and Dave Draper brought me to the Avalanche, and the rest has been history.
And you were the head of scouting, amateur scouting for a while?
Yeah, I was director of player personnel for about 15, 16 years, yeah.
Wow. What was that job entitled?
I'm sorry?
What does that job entitle, the director?
Watch over the pro scouting, watch over the amateur scouting, you know, go around, watch the top players play, you know, that are eligible for the draft.
Right.
You know, if we're making a trade, you go to a city to watch a player play for 2 or 3 games, that type of stuff.
Right. You know what's interesting about the scouting part that I don't know if a lot of people realize, but you get into those rooms, like you really got to fight for the guy you believe, right? Like if you really believe some guy, that's who you should be drafting. Very often there's a lot of battles, like guys are saying, yeah, you want those battles. You want to fight for the players, right?
Correct.
Yeah, that's cool.
Brad, did you ever get into any battles with any of these pain-in-the-ass player agents? Like,
No, he didn't deal with agents.
No, I was fortunate. I didn't deal with a lot of player agents. I did for a while for like minor league contracts and that kind of stuff, and I didn't like that part of it at all.
I know.
You know, the agents, you know, would kind of
right, because the agents were kind of, you know, slimy, right? Tom Laidlaw, 22-year player agent.
I listen. I agree. There's a lot of slimy agents. I hope I was not in that. I tried to make a point of not being a slimy agent. But
yeah. I kind of stayed out of it, you know, and you know, this wasn't my. Not like me. Like I'll argue. Like I will sit down with Joe and you know, we'd have our not arguments. We'd have our talks. I tell Joe what I think.
Yeah, Joe Sack.
But it's different than negotiating like a contract. I mean. And then the agent saying, well, this guy's no good in your team. That guy's no good in your team. Yeah, I mean, just, you know, they do a good job to the players, and that's what the players pay them for. But yeah, I didn't like that part of it.
Yeah, I know. But that I think to sit in those rooms sometimes with all the scouts sitting together, and you go to the draft or whatever the city is in, and you can sit down and have these meetings, and they're battling it out because they really got to fight for their player. Who's some of the top guys that you draft?
Well, I'm not going to say I drafted him. Our team drafted. I mean, you just McKinnon, McCarr. I mean, I go back to day one. We won the Stanley Cup. We had 3 first-round picks.
Right.
After the Stanley Cup, we drafted. Tanguay was in there. I guess the best story I can tell you is I was at home in Windsor, and Pierre Lacroix called me on a Friday afternoon. I had a rare Friday night off, and I was having some company in my house. I had 2 other couples that come to my house for dinner, and he called me up. He goes, "We drafted a guy about 3 or 4 years ago. We don't know nothing about him, and his name is Milan Hajduk. He's playing in Windsor tonight, like some playing exhibition." So I'm like, "Oh my God, do I even go?" Like, so I go and watch this guy warm up. I mean, he was a wizard with the puck.
Yeah.
And then I went to the next night to watch him play because I left after like the second period. And I went to see him next night. I think I drove all the way to Belleville, Kingston.
Oh, that's a long way.
Yeah, and this guy was good. So I talked to Pierre and Francois Giger, and they said, what should we do? I said, well, we need to sign this guy. Well, did he play the American League right away? I think he's going to play in the NHL. Well, come on. I said, yeah, I think he's going to play in the NHL. And sure enough, rest is history.
Right. And that,
you might go to that game that night because scouting was different back then. You didn't have European scouts, really.
Right.
You just went over there and, watch games or watch tournaments. He didn't ever play a game in the league.
Right. I'm
not taking any credit for it.
But you really had to believe in yourself too, right? Like in your ability to scout the talent. Yeah. Like that's the thing I think is really cool about being a scout is like you got to believe in yourself. And even if the rest of the room is disagreeing with you, saying like, "What do you mean?" Like,
no, you're right. You're right. We had the same problem with Chris Drury. People would say all they want about Chris Drury.
Yeah.
He was a great player.
Yeah.
But coming out of BU, people were raving about this guy. Trust me.
Right.
And I got in a heated argument with our assistant general manager. I'll sign this guy. And I said, you got to sign him. Guy's got a heart of a lion. He's going to play. Right. Heart of a lion. You got a heart of a lion, and you got skill. You're going to find a way to play. Right. And he called me up from having problems with the agent. And the last thing he said to me was, "You better be right about this player."
Well, did he come back to you and say you were right?
No, for not. You get no credit in this business.
So I had a client, Brad Larson. Remember Brad Larson?
Yes.
So who was the assistant GM? You mentioned his name before there?
Francois Giger.
That's right. So Brad Larson, we couldn't come to an agreement on the contract. So he went for 2 years in junior. It meant he'd be a free agent. He would be redrafted again. So I've since at the draft thinking, okay, maybe he falls a little bit, but he'll go to some other organization. They drafted him again. Colorado drafted him again.
That's right.
You remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, oh, God. I'm just thinking like everybody, the camera's on me right now and everything like that. I'm thinking, oh, God, we screwed that.
Oh, Pierre had that planned all along.
Oh, did he really?
Well, yeah, that wasn't just, he just didn't fall in our lap there. Pierre goes, okay, just take this guy now. Oh, no, that was planned.
Oh, son of a guy. I didn't know that. Francois came to me and he was kind of nice about it. He said, listen, Tom, he was just there. We took him again. We didn't have a plan. He actually told me he lied to me then. Oh.
That's why he's in the Hall of Fame. He outsmarted Laidlaw.
Pierre Lacroix passed away.
He did.
Yeah.
He just got elected, right?
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, well, forgot about that. And you also had Warren Reichel, our client Warren Reichel was at the Avalanche. You guys won the Stanley Cups.
I didn't know you were his agent.
Yeah, he had another agent. He's banging around in the minors, and Larry Kelly, I think it was. And Larry was a good agent too. And I had just retired from playing with the Kings, and I knew that they were looking for a tough guy. I think Jay Miller was moving on. So I'll never forget, I said to Warren, I got him as a client, listen, I hate saying this to you because I hate doing it, but if you're going to go there to LA, you got to fight everybody that moves. So Bundy, that's what we call it, Bundy. Yeah. They shaped him and they called him King Kong. He looked like King Kong Bundy or something like that. And so he did, went to camp, fought everybody, sorely the whole bit, signed a contract there. So that was, And then he hit up you guys.
No, I know Bundy very well. Trust me.
Yes, he's a good man.
I know all about Bundy, yeah.
Yeah.
Brett, after you win the Cup in '96, Reichel brings in his agent. And are you looking to drop the gloves a second time with this guy?
I don't know if we knew each other that much back then, like we do now. We get to know each other more. Oh, yeah. I got the picture someplace too. It's like 3 or 4 in the morning because there's an overtime game, and then they're partying, so I couldn't get in there until all the family done their stuff. So it's like 3 or 4 in the morning. The guys are free hammered then too. Yeah, we got a picture taken together with the cup. First time I'd ever touched the Stanley Cup too. That's cool. How many cups have you guys won then with you there?
3.
That's right.
3 rings.
You have 3 rings?
Yes, sir.
Very cool. That's
Where'd
good.
you keep them?
Well, I don't wear them. I mean, the last one we got, I mean, it's beautiful, but it's just so big, you just can't wear it.
It's like a saltish run.
You know.
Yeah. Well, Smitty, listen, I'm glad we became friends. You're one of those guys around the National Hockey League. Everybody just loves your personality, your work ethic, and all that. So even as a player, you really did, like you said before, you didn't like fighting, but you fought everybody.
A closer look, your fight looks like a draw. I mean, I know Laidlaw claims he won, but it looks like it was pretty even.
No, he won. He won. He out-hit me. He won. That's all I can do.
But it's one of those things though too that like I said before, once you fight him, then you see that he's fighting everybody. What was I thinking about fighting him? So it's cool. So it's great to see you, brother. You're really doing well.
Yeah, you guys, thanks so much for having me on. I really enjoyed this. It's great to see you too, Tom.
All right, Smitty.
You guys, good luck to you guys. Have a good holiday, and thanks for having me on.
Yeah, same to you. Thanks, all right, brother. Good to see you.
Bye-bye.
Hey, Tom, what a great interview. I still think that Motor Smitty City, maybe he beat you. I don't know. We got to look at the tape on that fight.
Well, I think he was being humble, but I think he alluded to the fact that I won that fight. And clearly, that was a fantastic guy, though. We became really good friends after that.
Yeah, what great stories. I didn't realize he was such a good position with the director of player development. Yeah. He's got 2 Stanley Cup rings or 3.
See the guys they drafted there in Colorado, too. And that's not all just him, but he was heading up to scouting and that Kale McCarr.
Yeah, well, Milan Hajduk was one of the guys. Like, this guy, you got to pick this guy. So.
That's right. Yeah, that's a great story. Tell about that. Yeah.
Absolutely. And what
I know they like to talk about, too, is that when you're going to scout in any league, but in this case, the National Hockey League, you really have to fight for your player. If somebody disagrees with you and you just back down, what are you really doing? So he told some good stories about that, too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And, great. He got to win the Cups. He had your buddy Bundy out there, Warren Reichel.
Yeah. And I remember that night winning the Cup. We were in Florida. They went into overtime. It was a late game anyway, so there was an overtime game. And I wanted to get in the locker room after to get a picture taken with Bundy and the Stanley Cup. So it was till like 3 or 4 in the morning. I finally got in there. The guys were hard too.
So when you bump into to Brad Smith after the fight, what does he say? You guys, he's like, I'm going to get you, Laidlaw.
No, you know what? Remember I had Robert Picard on? Like he didn't even want to talk about the fight early at all.
No, he was very gracious, and he was like, yeah, it's hockey. It happened. Yeah, move on. He wouldn't talk about it.
Yeah, like I played with Merlin McSorley. I had a great out in L.A., but before that, we played against each other. He was in Pittsburgh. I was with the Rangers. We had a good scrap too, but we never discussed it. It's just this.
I wonder if anyone holds grudges years later. Does that ever happen? I mean, it must because
who was it? Was it Chris Draper? Remember the hit that Lemieux?
Yes.
Yeah. I think they all held grudges. That was nasty though.
That was a little different story though. Yeah. That was he tried to basically break the guy's face.
Yeah, that's one of those ones like what a jerk.
But in fairness to Lemieux, he knew it was coming. He answered the bell right off the bat. He's like, "Okay, I'm gonna have to do this."
And he just didn't turtle against McCarty either.
No, he fought back.
Yeah, no, I do give him credit for that. That was funny watching that video too, because McCarty's yapping at him at the face-off there, telling him he's going to get him. Yep. And Lemieux didn't. They
didn't even flinch. He's like, "All right, we're going to fight," and they did. And that's great. That's standing up for yourself. Yeah. Even though it was a dirtbag move. That hit was a dirty hit, but he answered the bell. Kind of like you did with Brad Smith. But if you watch, I did check this out. If you watch it closely, Tom grabs onto the glass and tries to end the fight a little early.
I tried to drive my helmet into his face. But we talked about that too. That's the way I fought. Like the real heavyweight fighters, like they'll just keep on fighting. They'll change positions. Where I was one of those guys, and there's a lot of guys like me. I get mad and I adrenaline just be flying off the charts, and you stand there and throw punches for 10 or 15 seconds, and it's over.
Right. So if your fight didn't end in 30 seconds, you were done, right? You were just like,
it's tie-up time.
Yeah, right.
And you know what was too? The referees and linesmen, particularly the linesmen, they knew how guys were, especially after you played for a while.
Okay.
So you watched the fight against McSorley. I had my 10 or 15, maybe 20 seconds of throwing good punches. And then that was done. And McSorley was still going. That's what he became famous for, was being that second half fighter. Darren Langdon was that certain way.
Yep.
And the linesmen know that. They know that I'm not that second half fighter. They know he is. So if you watch the video, they jumped in right away. As soon as Smarty started getting the best of me, then they jumped in. Are you saying too, like, hey, Ray Scapino, I'm done. Like, end it. Never. No way. No. The real heavyweight fighters would do that sometimes if they went for a long time.
Yep.
He didn't want, because I didn't want Marty to hear me saying that. That he
Sure. Yeah. Who was, were you a big talker? Were you a big shit talker when you played?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I was smart ass. Yeah.
Right, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Who were some of the big ones you played with that were like real big chirpers, shit talkers?
Ron Greshner was a good chirper.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he was. He had good lines too. But we've talked before with John McClain. Played against him.
Oh, you said they had great lines. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he was funny.
Who's someone who was kind of like sneaky funny, like that you wouldn't expect?
Brian McClellan was a quiet guy. He's the general manager now with the Washington Capitals.
Scored a big overtime goal in '86 for the Rangers.
Yeah. Yeah, so he's a quiet, kind of gentleman kind of guy. But when you're on the days against him, I think he was in Calgary and I was in LA at the time, and there was a scrum, and we weren't going to fight each other at this time. We were both late in our careers.
Right.
So I grabbed him, and he got up closer, and he goes, I can smell alcohol. Because we know, that team we had, that 86 team was pretty close.
Sure. He had that big overtime goal against the Caps.
Yeah. Good player. So he was a tough guy, too. He didn't fight very often. There's a video of him fighting Larry Playfair. Larry Playfair was with the heavyweights in the league. And,
yeah.
Mac was with L.A. I think Larry was with Buffalo at the time. And Big Mac dropped him, too.
Wow. Really?
Yeah. And that didn't happen to Larry Playfair very often.
Playfairs were tough.
Yeah.
Real tough guys.
We were playing against Buffalo, and John Van Boxmeer was a real chirper, too. But not good stuff. It was more like cheap kind of stuff.
Like just dumb chirps?
Yeah. And I was going at it with him chirping. And all of a sudden, Larry Playfair comes up beside him. Larry's this mountain man. If Van Boxmeer tears, he says, why don't you go ahead and fight Larry?
No, all right. Well, that's my big brother's here now. You're in trouble.
Yeah, exactly. And I've told that story to other people that played with Van Boxmeer, and they said, yeah, that's the way he was. He was always chirping all the time.
What about guys like Ken Linsman and Paul Baxter? They
you know what? They
rat,
didn't chirp
right?
that much. It was more like little cheap stuff.
But they were rats, though.
Yeah, well, Baxter, though, backed it up. He could fight. I saw him fight Bud Milson one time, and he dropped him.
Yeah, but Clark Gillies almost put his fist to his face, though.
Yeah, I know. And he was, he'd be the pick of spots. That's the thing. But he was, I don't know, for whatever reason, him and I kind of respected each other up there. And I wasn't as much of a fighter as he was, obviously. Because we played against so much in Pittsburgh. When stuff was going on, I'd just go right to him.
Yeah.
And I think that's just kind of the player he was. If he could get away with doing something, he'd do it.
What about Kenny Linsman? He's like the classic rat from the 80s.
Yeah. Kenny Linsman, Keith Acton was like that. The same kind of player.
Linsman, actually, they were both good players, too. Linsman especially. He was a very underrated player.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? They're smart in what they did. Both those guys, Acton and Linsman, it was like when you're playing against those guys, you're always thinking about them because they do all this stuff. You just never know what they're going to do. So you're not intimidated by them. They're not scaring you away. It's just you got to keep your head up when you're out there against them.
How about sorry.
That worked for them because now we're thinking of them, not playing the game.
I was going to ask you about the Sutter brothers. Were they similar? Like same kind of play?
Oh, yeah, they were. And they were yappers, too. We had a playoff series against the Islanders. It was the first year. It must have been 84. So it's the first year that Flatley and LaFontaine, they were on the 84 Olympics.
Is that that's when he crushed Barry Beck with that check?
Yeah.
Right?
So I was hammering those two guys in a playoff game, close playoff game. And Sutter comes on the ice, and Phil Esposito even mentioned it on air. He's going, look, they're yapping at Laidlaw now. And Sutter was
nice.
Sutter's what?
Brent or Dwayne?
Dwayne? No, it's Brent. Yeah. Brent.
Okay, gotcha. Brent,
yeah, he was more yapper. Yeah,
Dwayne was a very good hockey player.
Yeah. Which one was the centerman? Was it
Brent?
Was that Dwayne?
Brent was the centerman. I think Dwayne.
Yeah, so that it was Dwayne that was doing all the yapping. He was number 12. I think.
Yeah, Dog. His nickname was Dog. Yeah, that was.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Brent was a 100-point scorer. He's a good player.
Yeah, he was. We had some good battles. We had a battle in the corner and with Brent, the centerman, and he. I got poked in the face with a stick and it cut me, and I was mad. And I got up. I said, "You speared me right in the face." And he goes, "It wasn't me. It was your teammate." Like he spoke.
Oh,
it wasn't
really?
Like, yeah. He wasn't like his brother. Yeah,
gotcha.
The two younger ones, Ronnie and Rich,
twins,
Philly.
Yeah, yep.
They were effective players too. They really worked hard and everything, but they were chippy.
Yeah, sure.
When Brian, the one who was in St. Louis, he wasn't a cheap player. Man, he was tough. Oh,
good player.
Yeah.
And then there's Darryl.
Yeah, that's right. We had a series that for my first year when we played St. Louis and beat them in 6 games. And it was a battle. And Eddie Hosper, myself, we're all we're going after Sutter because he's the leader.
Sure.
They didn't really have a real physical team at that point. They had Brian Maxwell on defense.
Ernie Federko, yeah, they were.
Yeah. But at the end,
Joe Mullen.
Yeah, the playoff series after it was over, you shake hands. I think we saw him out in the city someplace too. And I said to him, listen, I really have a ton of respect for you. And ever since I had that conversation with him, we played the next year, the puck got dumped in my corner and he was coming after me to hit me. And he didn't think that I saw him. So he yelled to me. He says, I'm coming. Like he gave me a heads up.
He snare you?
Yeah, he still went and hit, not in a bad way. Like he was actually giving me a heads up because he thought he didn't want to. He had to hit me. That was his job.
Brace yourself, laid low. Here it comes.
Yeah,
Oh,
cool. And I was
cool.
like, that was pretty nice.
Did you ever hit Bernie Federico, lay him out? Because as you know, he cut me from a professional roller hockey team in 1993. So
If I'd known he'd done that, I would have given him a puck there. So going on a break.
No, you could have said, "Look, in 12 years, you're gonna cut my friend, so I'm gonna bury you right now." And no, it didn't happen.
No, I'll tell you the one hit I'll never forget. I was watching Landy McDonald as a kid all the time, playing for Toronto.
Sure.
And he was with Calgary early in my career at the Rangers, and I smoked him. He was coming through the center ice and didn't have
Knocked
to head
his
up.
mustache off.
Knocked the air out of myself. I had to go to the bench. Oh, wow. And after it was done, I felt so bad because this Landy McDonald.
Sure.
And it was like he was an older guy at that point, and I just hammered him. I said to him after, I said, "I'm sorry, I didn't." And he was fine. He was like, "No, he still played hard. He was
a nice guy." Listen, you don't care about this type of stuff, but when I was a kid, we used to go to Total Ice World to watch the Devils practice. It was free.
Oh.
But it was so cool when other teams would come through.
Yeah.
And one day it was like a bonanza. It was the Devils, the Los Angeles Kings, and Calgary Flames, all scheduled practice because there wasn't much ice in New Jersey, right?
Yeah,
so it was great. We just stayed there the whole day, like getting autographs. And I remember Lanny McDonald was the nicest guy in the world. He was so nice to all the kids. He was just super cool with that giant mustache.
Yeah, he's a real gentleman. Yeah, he's a great guy.
Yeah, really. Him and also I remember Terry Ruskowski, who was the Kings captain at the time, was singing Easy Lover by Phil Collins, and he stopped and came over and hung out with us. And I think I told you, it's the same day, like, we're walking in the back, and Toto was such a dump. It was kind of like Sportorama is now. It's very ancient. But the Devil's locker room was just basically just this crappy locker room. So we're all waiting outside for autographs, and as we would, and Dave Pichette walks by, stark naked. And there's like 12-year-olds and 13-year-olds just like, "Hey, can we get on?" Oh, that's that man's Stone.
Oh,
so
that's funny.
A little weird, but yeah.
I think the hockey players are just so used to walking around naked in the locker room, they just don't think anything of it.
Well, the door opened and he was like, "What are these kids doing?" Yeah, it wasn't his fault. He wasn't like being creepy by any means. They just got up with the door open and he locked eyes with all the kids, and it was like, okay, so a little weird. Nobody asked for a stick that day.
It's funny you talk about weird outside the locker room. When I was in college, we played against the St. Louis Billikens, St. Louis University, and we're down in the old Checker Dome. And
great old building.
Yeah. The night before we played, Philly was in town, played against St. Louis. And Paul Holmgren, I'll never forget, I waited outside the locker room, and I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. He comes walking out with a suit and a 6-pack of beer hanging down. And I thought, oh, man, that's the National Hockey League right there. That was the only time I'd been close to a locker room after a game. That was the only time I'd seen it.
Yeah.
Like, wow, that's cool.
Little starstruck. See? So that's good. Fans want to hear that. You were a fan too.
Totally. Yeah, because again, especially back there was no access to what was really the life of a hockey player. Sure. These documentaries and stuff.
Instagram and anything like that. You didn't know.
So just to get a glimpse of like an NHL player at a game.
And he's got a 6-pack with him.
Yeah. I remember thinking that is so cool, man. I can't wait to get to the National Hockey League.
I remember we had a tournament down in Philly at the Coliseum, and the Flyers would practice there. And I remember they would come around and we'd be like, "Look at these guys, they drive BMWs."
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Cool. Rick Tocchet has a BMW.
I seriously, I think I've told you this. I really didn't know what to expect in the locker room. That was one of the things I thought about the most.
Sure.
Like, will these guys be wearing gold-plated underwear? I was really thinking about these things. I seriously, they can't be just like everybody else.
So what do? You show up with a Fu Manchu mustache and cowboy boots and a cowboy hat.
Oh, and I thought I was so cool too. Oh, geez.
How quick did you get that off? Who looked at you like, "Kid, what are you doing?"
No, I kept it on. Yeah.
Really?
Nobody said anything to me. Yeah, like I must have been. I'm not saying this like right. I must have intimidated them because they said I didn't get initiated. I guess I was respectful too. I didn't yap all the time like Chris Katsopoulos did. That's what he
sure. Well, here's a question: when you first, if you remember back, your first training camp with the Rangers, you walk in. Who's the first guy that you talk to?
Well, the first person it was before training camp was when at the end of my senior year, they brought me into New York to sign my contract and then go down to New Haven to play in the playoffs.
Okay.
So it was the day of a game. I was at the Garden and I was just, I was standing in the locker room. Never forget that, it's before the game. So the jerseys are all hanging around. There's all the names and everything. Phil Esposito's jerseys.
Sure. Yeah.
And he comes walking in the room and I can see him talking to the trainers. He doesn't know who I am. And he's asking questions like, "Who is that?" And they're whispering to him, telling him. And then he comes walking over to me. And that, I'm telling you, it was watching him 10 feet from where he was to me. And I'm watching him come towards me. I just could not believe that Phil Esposito was coming over and talking to me. Because you think back like in the 72. Oh, yeah. You think back to the 72 series against Russia. He lectured all of Canada after one game because they were.
Yeah, it was amazing.
So Phil was this legend. And right near the end of his career and everything. So he goes walking over to me. And it's Phil Esposito. I said, "Oh, no kidding." And great to meet you. Heard a lot of good things about you. And I can't wait to play with you. And
Oh, wow.
he said, and I could not believe it. Like I was just saying to myself, this can't be happening. It's just
Yeah.
And,
It's real life.
So it's funny you say that because we're all the same way when you first get there. I even talked to Braden Schneider. Is it for the Rangers now?
Yes.
Yeah. So we were at an event down the city 2 or 3 weeks ago, and he was there. So
And he said, "Sir, can I have a refill?" He said, "No, I'm not."
I did have to introduce myself. There's no question with that. Because I think he's 20 years old or whatever.
Yeah.
So we had a good chat. And we talked about the fact that like he's a really humble kid, very confident in everything, but you can tell he's got that humbleness to him. But we talked about the fact that you kind of respect the older players too much when you first get there. That's the thing. You need to respect them, but not be in awe of it.
Right.
And it's interesting. Him and I have that conversation. I said that to us. How are you dealing with all the respect issues? Yeah, it's amazing you say that because I'm the same way. I'm like too much in awe of these guys. And
yeah, like he's got to go out and he's got to hit Ovechkin. And he's got to hit Crosby. Those, you can't like that's your job now.
Yeah. And you don't. Part of it is you think I'm a young player. I'm going to defer to the older guys on the team. Well, no, you've got to go do your job. Like don't wait for somebody else to do it. That was the thing playing with Gretzky. They give it fight. So you work so hard to get him the puck, but no, you just got to be natural. And I played with Wayne later on in my career, so I was past all that stuff. But
sure,
there's a lot of that, especially you're the young guy. Like if the coach leaves you on the ice in a key situation, you're kind of looking around sometimes like, you get me off, or you don't come off the ice.
But you're also smart enough to know that if you're out there with 99, like Wayne wants the puck, you're going to get him the puck. I mean, that's the game plan. Yeah,
but he would even say because he knew what was going on early. And he would say, I think he said to us, the defensemen all together, he says, listen, I don't get it to me if you force him to get it to me.
Right, don't force.
I'm open, then pass the puck to me. Yeah.
But he was always open, though.
Yeah, that is true. And he did want the puck. Yeah, I think I've told you that one time, I don't know, I did this.
Yeah, he did. On the empty netter?
Yeah, where I didn't pass it up to him. And he was not. And I think back about it, I was wrong because he was on a mission to be the best player that's ever played the game. Yep. And part of that was points. He wasn't being selfish about it. He wanted to put the game away, but he wanted the points too. So I've heard people say that he got a lot of phantom assists, and I didn't ever see.
No bullshit, all that stuff. No way.
Yeah, I didn't see it that way at all.
The guy always had the puck constantly. Yeah. He did.
And I'll tell you, I think did we talk about this? Maybe I talked about it in another show or an interview where I saw an interview from Wayne recently, and I didn't know he felt this way, but I guess he was playing the game. He was a kid, like 9, 10 years old or something, and it was after the season was done, just an exhibition game, and his team got beat.
Yeah, I saw this.
Yeah,
that's great.
And his dad said to him, he said, "What do you think of that?" And he went, "So the end of the year really doesn't."
He's like, "Whatever, I don't care."
Yeah, and the dad said, "Well, listen, for whatever reason, you're the chosen one, and people come from all around to watch you play, and you've got to play your best every night." And that really, I look back at the time I played with Wayne and playing against him, he really did that. Like there was not many nights where he wasn't like, even if it wasn't a good first period or whatever, it's like he kind of snapped himself out of it and go get 5 points.
Yeah, I think I don't want to put the guy in a pedestal, he's a human being, but I mean, I think we're very lucky to have watched that career because he was on a different level, and you got to play with him, and that's amazing. Oh, yeah. And I've been lucky enough to cross paths with him several times, and he's just a good guy.
No,
like,
it's so scary. Yeah, it's scary at first. It's like, come on, no, he can't be that good of a guy. That's Wayne Gretzky, I'm like, so
like he's incredible. So that it's just so cool to see, to have been able to see that. It's almost like getting to watch Babe Ruth play. Like you got to see the guy. And Tom, thanks for coming on. See you later.
All right, Grasshoppers, thank you for listening. We had a fantastic show. We'll see you next time.